What if the US and Iran went to war tomorrow? Who would win? A question that stirs the mind, doesn't it? This hypothetical scenario isn't as far-fetched as you might think. Let's set the stage. The United States and Iran, two nations with a history of tensions mounting and simmering over time. On one side we have the United States, a global superpower with a military force that's unparalleled, known for its advanced technology and vast resources. On the other side we have Iran, a regional power in the Middle East, boasting a rich history, a strategic geographical location, and a military that's resilient and resourceful. Now, why would these two nations potentially go to war? Well, there's a variety of reasons. At the heart of the matter are historical tensions dating back to the Iranian Revolution in the late 20th century and the hostage crisis that followed. These events set the stage for decades of strained relations marked by sanctions, threats, and diplomatic standoffs. Fast forward to the present day, and we're looking at a landscape of escalating geopolitical issues. Iran's nuclear program, for instance, has been a major point of contention. The United States, along with its allies, has long held concerns about Iran's potential to develop nuclear weapons, leading to a tug-of-war between diplomacy and threats of military action. There are also regional conflicts to consider. Both nations have been involved, directly or indirectly, in various conflicts in the Middle East, often supporting opposing sides. These proxy wars have further deepened the divide and added fuel to the fire of potential direct conflict. Now that the stage is set, let's delve into the military capabilities of both nations. How do the United States and Iran stack up in terms of military might? Who has the upper hand? And perhaps more importantly, who would come to their aid in the event of a war? Stay tuned as we continue to explore this hypothetical war scenario. First, we turn our attention to Iran, a nation with a robust military infrastructure. This Middle Eastern powerhouse is not to be underestimated. Its military is a diverse blend of conventional and unconventional forces designed to deter and defend against potential threats. The Iranian army, known as the Artesh, is a formidable force. It's a combination of regular troops and the elite Revolutionary Guard, a parallel force dedicated to protecting the nation's Islamic Republic system. The Revolutionary Guard is not just a military force, it's a political power player, with influence that extends far beyond the battlefield. Iran's navy, while not as large as those of some other nations, is strategically equipped to control the Strait of Hormuz, a vital waterway for global oil traffic. It operates a mix of frigates, submarines, and smaller fast attack crafts that could pose a significant threat in this confined waterway. In the skies, the Iranian Air Force is a patchwork of older American, European, and Russian aircraft, maintained and upgraded over the years. Its capabilities, while not cutting-edge, have proven effective in regional conflicts. But perhaps Iran's most potent weapon is its missile systems. Iran boasts one of the largest and most diverse missile arsenals in the Middle East, capable of striking targets throughout the region. Beyond the conventional, Iran has honed its skills in asymmetric warfare. It has fostered a network of proxy forces across the Middle East, enabling it to wage a prolonged guerrilla war if necessary. This ability, combined with its geographic advantages, makes Iran a tough nut to crack. However, it's essential to put this into perspective. Iran's military is powerful and adaptable, but it operates on a fraction of the budget of some of its potential adversaries. Its equipment, while serviceable, is largely outdated compared to what's used by leading global powers. Despite its strengths, Iran's military is dwarfed by that of the United States. The United States, a global superpower, boasts a military that's second to none. With a defense budget that dwarfs many nations' entire GDPs, it's no surprise that the United States military is a force to be reckoned with. Let's start with the Army. The amount of technological advancement seen in the U.S. Army is staggering. From unmanned drones that can strike with pinpoint accuracy, to state-of-the-art tanks, to the most highly trained soldiers in the world, the U.S. Army is a formidable force on the ground. Then there's the Navy. With 11 active aircraft carriers, more than any other country, the U.S. Navy has the ability to project power across the globe. Each of these carriers functions as a floating airbase, allowing the United States to launch airstrikes from virtually anywhere. But the power doesn't stop on the sea's surface. Beneath the waves, the U.S. submarine fleet is the best in the world. Armed with an array of torpedoes and missiles, these stealthy predators are a major threat to any adversary. And let's not forget about the Air Force. With the most technologically advanced aircraft in the skies, including stealth bombers and fighters, the U.S. Air Force can strike quickly and decisively. The United States also has a sophisticated missile defense system capable of intercepting and neutralizing threats from the air. This includes the Terminal High Altitude Area Defense, or THAAD system, which can intercept and destroy ballistic missiles inside or outside the atmosphere during their final or terminal phase of flight. Lastly, the U.S. has a global reach unlike any other nation. Through a network of military bases around the world, the United States can deploy its forces quickly and efficiently, ensuring that it can respond to threats anywhere, at any time. Clearly, in a direct confrontation, the United States has the upper hand, but wars are rarely this simple. In a conflict, Iran would not stand alone. Who would come to its aid? In a hypothetical war scenario, Iran has potential allies who could lend support either overtly or covertly. Let's begin with Russia. Historically, Iran and Russia have been strategic partners, sharing common interests in the region. Russia could provide Iran with military equipment and intelligence, strengthening Iran's ability to defend itself and launch counterattacks. Then there's China, another major player in global politics. China and Iran have fostered a strong economic relationship, and China's vast technological capabilities could come in handy. It's plausible that China might offer indirect support in the form of cyber warfare or intelligence sharing. In addition to these state actors, Iran could also receive support from various non-state actors. Groups like Hezbollah in Lebanon and the Houthis in Yemen have received support from Iran in the past and could potentially reciprocate in times of conflict. This could translate to guerrilla warfare, diversionary tactics, or even acts of terrorism aimed at disrupting enemy operations. However, it's crucial to note that alliances in international politics are fluid and often guided by self-interest. For instance, while Russia and China might be inclined to support Iran, they also have their own relationships with the United States to consider. Their support for Iran, therefore, might be more subtle and less direct. It's also worth mentioning that in the complex theater of war, alliances can work both ways. Iran's potential allies could also become liabilities. For instance, if Iran's allies are perceived as threats by other nations, it could lead to a broader conflict, drawing more nations into the fray. In the end, while Iran does have potential allies who could provide various forms of support, the extent of this support is largely speculative and dependent on a myriad of factors. On the other side of the coin, the United States also has a roster of potential allies. The United States, with its extensive network of alliances, would not fight this war alone. Let's start with the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also known as NATO. This intergovernmental military alliance between 29 North American and European countries could be a massive trump card for the United States. NATO's collective defense clause means that an attack against one member is considered an attack against all. Therefore, if Iran were to strike first, the U.S. could potentially rally the support of some of the world's most powerful militaries. Moving to the Pacific, we find two other potential allies in South Korea and Japan. Both countries have close military ties with the U.S., hosting American military bases and personnel. South Korea, with its highly trained and technologically advanced military, could provide significant support. Meanwhile, Japan, despite its post-World War II pacifist constitution, maintains self-defense forces that could play a crucial role in logistics, intelligence, and possibly even combat operations. Let's not forget Australia, a key ally in the Indo-Pacific region. Australia has been a reliable partner of the U.S. in numerous conflicts from Vietnam to Afghanistan. It boasts a highly professional military and could provide valuable support, particularly in naval and air operations. But remember, these are potential allies. Their involvement would depend on various factors, including the circumstances leading up to the conflict, their national interests, and their assessment of the risks involved. Furthermore, each of these allies brings its own strengths and capabilities, which could complement the U.S.'s military might. In summary, the U.S. has a network of powerful friends across the globe. These alliances could provide a wide range of support, from boots on the ground to naval fleets, from intelligence gathering to logistical services. This is a crucial aspect to consider when assessing the potential balance of power in a hypothetical conflict with Iran. With the military capabilities and potential allies of both nations laid out, who would emerge victorious? In a war between the US and Iran, who would come out on top? This is the question that has been lingering in our minds throughout this discussion. Assessing the possible outcomes of such a conflict is no easy task, given the intricate variables at play. It's essential to consider the military capabilities of both nations, as well as the potential allies that may tip the scales in favor of one side or the other. The United States, with its technologically advanced military and robust network of global allies, would undoubtedly present a formidable force. However, Iran, with its strategic geographical position and potential alliances, could prove to be a tough nut to crack. It's important to note that warfare in the 21st century is not solely about boots on the ground or planes in the sky. Cyber warfare, economic sanctions, and proxy battles can significantly impact the course of conflict. With that said, the US, with its superior technological prowess and economic might, could potentially have an upper hand in these areas. However, winning a war isn't merely about being the last one standing on the battlefield. The human cost of war is a significant factor. A direct conflict between these nations could result in countless lives lost, not to mention the immense strain it would add to an already burdened global economy. Moreover, the aftermath of such a war could create a power vacuum in the region, leading to further instability. Considering the recent history of wars in the Middle East, it's not hard to envision a scenario where the victor finds themselves in a quagmire that's difficult to exit. Thus, even if one nation were to emerge as the victor in a military sense, the larger question would be, at what cost and what would be left to win? While it's impossible to predict the exact outcome, one thing is clear: war comes with a heavy price. No matter who would come out on top, the consequences would be felt globally, underscoring the importance of diplomatic resolutions over armed conflict. So, what have we learned today? We've journeyed through the military strengths of both the US and Iran, understanding their capabilities and potential limitations. We've seen the might of Iran's forces, a force to be reckoned with in its own right. Then we've examined the US, a veritable powerhouse with a global reach. We've also delved into who might stand by each nation in a conflict. For Iran, we've seen a few potential allies, each with their own strategic benefits. On the other hand, the US, with its vast network of alliances, could count on significant international support. Finally, we've pondered the likely outcome of such a confrontation. While it's impossible to predict with certainty, we've discussed potential scenarios based on our current understanding. We hope you found this exploration insightful. Remember, this is all hypothetical, and we hope that such a conflict never arises. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more thought-provoking content. Goodbye, and take care.